Hi guys, welcome along. Doing this all one-handed again tonight, so please bear with me. Doing the technical bits on the computer. If I've got to type anything, change any settings, it's getting easier, but it's still quite hard. So please bear with me with that tonight. A few hellos to start off. Kim in Denmark, beautiful country, a place I have visited 8 times, and absolutely love it, especially around the Tivoli Gardens, which if you say Tivoli backwards is I love it. So there you go. You've learned something new already tonight. Also, good evening to Dave the Machine Sergeant. You know him from some of my running videos, my running buddy. Welcome to you, Dave. And also good evening to the running guy. That running guy, must get it right. That running guy, Chris, and from his channel. Thank you very much indeed for popping along tonight, Chris. Really do appreciate it. And if you like the content I do, you will really like Chris's channel as well. So do me a favor, pop over there and go and hit subscribe on his channel as well. Anybody else with us, please let me know in the chat. Would love to hear from you tonight. So just doing a quick live. This might take 10 minutes. It might take half an hour. It might take an hour. It just depends how we go. If you guys got any questions or you want to discuss any of the points, then please bob in, put them down there in the comments, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. So that said, first of all, an update. As you can see, I can move the hand a little bit more now. Can't really lift it up much further than that. But the good news is we are starting to get better. It's not as heavy or as hard, heavy or as painful as it has been. It seems to be getting better. I had a look at Dr. Google earlier on today, and it was telling me about a practerial, is it a practerial, something like that, practerial fracture of the humerus that's on the top. Will take about 5 to 6 weeks to heal. Next week, it's 6 weeks. So hopefully we should be fit and well coming in the next couple of weeks or so. I've got a consultant's appointment next Wednesday. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's when we'll get the green light to start on maybe doing a bit of light running, get back on the treadmill, do some light running. You know, on a surface, it's a little bit more spongy than being out on the road. So fingers crossed, that's the way forward. Right. That's me. That's my update. That's how I'm looking. What about you guys? You all okay? Any problems at all you want to tell me about? Please do so in the comments. A little bit more prepared this week than last week. I've got some notes, which took me, 3-4 hours just to write one sheet of A4 due to not being able to write because I'm right-handed. So done it left-handed. So hopefully I'll be able to follow my notes and we'll be able to do it as well. Please excuse me with all the coughing tonight. Nervous. Michael Sanderson, thank you very much indeed for joining us as well, Michael. So glad you're there. Brilliant to see so many people here giving me a bit of support tonight. It's brilliant. First of all, in the news, have you seen this? Eddie Izzard, through the month of January, not only did he do a Red January run every day, he actually did 32 marathons in 31 days, which is a phenomenal feat. If you've run a marathon, you know what you feel like after running one. But this guy, this lady, this person, let's get it right, this person is phenomenal doing these runs. This is about the 3rd or 4th time they've done this many runs in a go. Been doing it for charity. It's the Humanity Change charity that you've been running for. 32 marathons on a treadmill. That's what gets me. This has all been done on a treadmill because I know the treadmill is seen as a dirty word in the running world. I particularly like the treadmill. I really think it's good for recovery purposes and it's got a place in our arsenal. But to actually run 32 marathons on a treadmill, okay, the pace Eddie was going at wasn't lightning fast. It was around about 15, 16 minutes per mile. So it was taking a good 6 hours to do these marathons. But again, with a marathon, it's finish lines, not finishing times. So it's done really well with that, which got me thinking about treadmills. Now, as I said, I'm going to go back onto the treadmill and use it as my recovery tool. But have any of you used any of these running pods? Because Eddie Izzard was using Swift, obviously, to run. You could join in with him on there, and he was running with a Swift, so he had a Swift pod on. But you got the Swift pods, which I'm interested in getting. But in the last 8-9 months, every time I go and look for one, they're always out of stock. So has anybody actually got a Swift pod? No, are they worth it? Is it worth getting one? The other pods I've seen are the Stride pods. Now these, the only ones I've found, again, £199. Is it worth that type of investment? Or am I just looking in the wrong place? Can you find them a lot cheaper? Please let me know. If you know somebody who's got one, if you could ask them to drop me a message and tell me about that, I would love to know. I know the Garmin ones are out there, but again, every time I look for a Garmin one, they're out of stock. And I think there's some Polaris run pods as well, which again, every time I look, they're nowhere. So what's this thing about run pods? How can we get hold of some? Oh, do you know, it is really hard to do things with one hand. But yes, thank you, Chris. Should have a word with Chris from Here We Are Running, which is another good channel. If you want to check that one out as well, go and hit subscribe after this. Chris has just done a video. It came out earlier today. It was Mimo, wasn't it? A pod that you put on your shoe. And not only does it give you your normal metrics with regard to pace, cadence, distance, and all that malarkey, it's got a sock with it you put on, and it actually does your gait. So it gives you a form of gait analysis, which feeds back onto the app on the phone, and it actually shows you how your foot lands. So it's I don't know if it's a fully accurate gait analysis, but it's more information than you would normally have. Let's put it that way. So go and have a look at that. That's interesting. Sorry, the camera's just dropped out and we're back. Technology. Chris knows all about these things. You're messing with different bits of technology every week just to get the right setup for you. So we'll see how it goes. So yeah, running pods. Anybody had one? Has anybody found them? Do you know where they are? Please let me know. Would love to find out about those and see if it's worth it. Right. I know a few of you here from what I said in the message which I put out yesterday about this live. Last night we had a Zoom meeting. It was an English athletics run leaders development workshop. They're holding I think they're holding 5 workshops over the next month or so, helping develop the run leaders. So if you're a run leader, you have the opportunity to get on this course. And last night's first discussion, I thought was going to be absolute chaos. There was 180 run leaders on this Zoom meeting. And to be honest, it went really well. We had 20 breakout rooms. We got to discuss a few things. 180 run leaders on this development course. I'll feed back about the next few meetings as we go forward. But last night was really mainly a discussion about how running clubs and running groups are tackling getting out and running during this COVID pandemic that we have, because it's challenging times. There's rules and regulations out there. How are we working with those rules, and how are we getting out and doing the runs? Now, it's quite interesting that a couple of the people were saying that their running groups have actually died a death due to the pandemic, and just activity's gone. Nobody's on the Facebook pages. Nobody seems to be interested. But the vast majority is saying the running groups and running clubs were getting busier. They were getting more members, and they were going out and doing more structured runs. Now, previously, it would be similar to what my running group is, and it was we all just used to turn up on a Wednesday and go for a run. But now the groups are changing to a more structured approach, and they're actually putting on different sessions at different times and at different locations. Now, obviously, we know that the COVID regulations there are saying you can only go out to exercise, not socialize. It's just to exercise. You should really stay local, but you can go out and run with your family, or you can run with one other person. You can run with a buddy. Now, what they were saying, if you are running with a buddy, you should really sort this out beforehand. So he's got it all planned. You both just meet up and go and do the run. But what a lot of people were saying was the structuring the runs. For example, they were saying on a Tuesday night, we've got an interval session, and these are the intervals we'd be running. So they were saying to people, buddy up, and this is what you'd be doing on that day. Not necessarily do it in the normal location, not necessarily do it at the normal time, but spread it out through the day. Think about other people and keeping safe during the COVID pandemic. Now, if your normal location is a very busy location in the evening, then if you want to use that location, maybe do it in the afternoon when it's quieter, or find somewhere quieter to do it. So think about other people and not just you and your run. Choose the location wisely. Choose the time wisely. Because a lot of people, again, were reporting that there seems to be a bit of grumbling coming from the general public, you know, when you're running past people, is, oh, you're breathing too heavy, or having a go because it looks like there's more than two of you. So, for example, if you've got a run group that's doing something and you're setting off every 2 minutes or every 3 minutes, so people are only running in pairs, but they're running after each other, and if everyone's wearing a club shirt, it does give that perception that there is a massed run going on. So again, should we not be wearing club colours and just going out and undercover, so to speak, and not giving that impression of a mass event taken on, to try and allay those public fears and maybe get away from the catcalling we're getting from people, from the dog walkers as we're running past them, the catcalling from people in the cars. There's too many of you, you shouldn't be breathing heavy. Because you've probably seen on YouTube, and I'll see if I can find a link for it and put it in the description below afterwards, a COVID marshal in London on the banks of the River Thames was actually stopping people from running down a certain section of the path because, in his words, you're breathing too heavy. That's a public perception that we've got to, unfortunately, work with and get round. So we need to be thinking about where we're doing that running, as I say. A quiet location at times that are quieter when we can get out there and we're not causing any problems, and working within the rules we have. The other thing is a lot of people saying we seem to be forgetting this stay local. We should be going out and doing that run from your front door, basically, and not driving from one place to the other. I'll give you an example. If I wanted to do a trail run, I'd have to jump in the car and drive to the Lake District here from Blackpool, which is 45 minutes away. No, that's a no-no. We shouldn't be doing anything like that. We shouldn't be traveling to somewhere to go and do our runs. We should be really staying as local as possible. So that was a thing that was coming out. Thank you very much indeed, Chris, for your support there. I really do appreciate it. And Kim has asked a question about the T-shirt behind. It was a local run club, local running organizer, File Coast Runners here in Blackpool. They put on a virtual run before Christmas, and it was the Year Is Over virtual run. This is the T-shirt we got from it. If you go onto my Facebook page, you'll probably see a picture of the medal, which is basically somebody with the finger up, which is really great. Great idea for the end of the year. Brilliant T-shirt. So yeah, thanks for pointing it out, Kim, like you do it. And I say thank you, Chris, for your support. So yeah, that's what a lot of the hour-and-a-half meeting we had yesterday was about, how running groups are adapting to the situation, and how most groups are actually adapting to the situation and actually growing and have become more structured in what they're delivering. Yeah, which is all a good thing, and is really positive, because we know that running is good for us. We know that running is good for our mental health. We know that running with a buddy is also good for, again, our socialization and our mental health side of that, pulling us away from isolation. Exactly. Kim's come up with a good one. I really do apologize for having to stop and do things, but Kim, I like your point. We can't hold our breath when we run. No, we can't. Look away from the person as you're going past them. And I know what they say, wear a mask, but for me, I'm asthmatic, so as soon as you put a mask on, it is restricting me and I can't do it. I do try and stay away from people. Normally, especially in the winter before all this happened, I had a running buff, so I could just flick it over and take it off when needed, which was better than wearing a mask. So yeah, good point. We can't hold our breaths, but we can do our bit to try and minimize the impact on our fellow person. So we're all working together to control this virus and to save our NHS and actually protect people. We can do that whilst we're running. Let me see, what else did we say? Secure location, stay local, check your routes, change your time if necessary. One thing was like looking at the area you're running in. If you're running around a park that's got a narrow path, should you really be looking for somewhere else to run? Because once you get on a narrow path, you can't really be giving that 2 meters without putting yourself in danger. The reason I was taken out in the park was a child came across in front of me, and I had nowhere to go and went over them. And that could happen to us when we're out running on these narrow paths. If you come off the path to go onto a grassy area or onto the road, there's an accident possible. So we really need to think about these locations to keep not only the public safe, but keep ourselves safe as well. You don't want to be putting yourself in a dangerous position just because you're trying to move around somebody. So give some serious consideration to where you are running at the moment. Yeah, buddy up beforehand, meet at the right place, get going. Comments from the public. And as I say, running with a buddy is also good for security purposes, especially if you're running in the dark. It's always best to be two of you. And if you are running in the dark, and again, I'm going to reference you to Chris's channel, that running guy. Excuse me. He put up a video this morning of a running light that looks absolutely fantastic. It's an armband light, but it's one of the brightest I've seen. And I recommend you go and have a look at that video after this. It's something that we should all be doing in the winter. I took the dog out for a walk with the wife a couple of days ago. It was about 8:30 at night. And being a runner who can't run, I notice everybody who's running and you go, get miserable about it. But I saw about a dozen people running whilst I was out walking the dog, and only one of them, about 8 o'clock at night, had a light on. So really do think about your safety and your security. Get yourselves illuminated so it reduces the chance of any incidents or accidents. So stay safe in the dark. So as I say, the feedback from that meeting last night was basically that the vast majority of running clubs and the vast majority of individual runners are aware of the rules that we have to abide by and are following them and are doing everything within those rules to make sure that people are still out running and doing what they love and keeping themselves fit and keeping themselves mentally healthy. Because again, if you give up on your running and you're just sat at home, the isolation kicks in. So we really need to be speaking to each other and encouraging each other to go out. If there is somebody in your running club or your running group who hasn't been out for a run for a few weeks, it might be worth giving them a call, get them on Facebook, get them on WhatsApp, whatever, and just say, do you fancy coming out for a run? And trying to encourage them to get back whilst working within those rules. The one thing to remember is if you are a coach, you are still allowed to do one-to-one sessions with over 18s. You can't do it with anybody under the age of 18, but you can still do a one-to-one coaching session with a person over the 18. And as a coach, as it's classed as a business, you can do several sessions in the day. You can carry on doing one-to-one sessions as long as it's in a safe location, etc., etc. So if you're a full-on coach, you can still doing those. Just a little reminder, English Athletics what it does to remind everybody that if you are organising buddy up runs and it's two people who've buddied up together and go out for a run, they are not covered by any of the public liability insurance of the run leader or the club. They are purely out and running on their own. However, if a person buddies up with a run leader, then they are covered by the run leader's insurance, if you see what I mean. So I know it's a little point, but it's worth remembering that if accidents can and do happen, that just to remember those when it comes to the run leaders and the club's responsibilities. So that was an hour and a half last night. We've got another one next Monday. I will let you know how that one goes as well. So what else do I want to say tonight? Or what else would I like to bring to your attention and talk to, speak? Obviously, I can't read my left-handed writing, so just bear with me a second. Yes. Organised races. Are we going to get back to those this year? I know the vaccine program's rolling out really well, but then we've got the likes of Glastonbury Festival that has cancelled again for this year. There are marathons and races that are in April, May and June of this year that are postponing and putting them back towards the end of the year. Do we think we are going to get those races back? I don't think they'll be exactly the same as they've been previously. But will we get our races back by the end of summer where they're all scheduled? Got the email this morning from the Great North Run saying, fingers crossed, all systems are going ahead for the 12th of September. We've got the London Marathon ballot results, which are out next Monday. Good luck to you. It is your yearly rejection email coming your way. We've got Manchester, Brighton, Edinburgh, Amsterdam, and this is what this really gets me. If you are running the 6 major marathons, London, Berlin, Tokyo, Chicago, Boston, New York, if you do all 6 this year, you're running them in a 6-week period. That is outstanding, especially if you've got Chicago and Boston. Chicago is on a Sunday, and Boston is the next day on the Monday. It's only Eddie Izzard who'll be able to do this. So yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing when we get to the end of the year. If all these races go ahead at the end of the year, schedule is going to be so excuse me, so compact and so much happening. But do you think they're going to happen? Are we going to actually end up putting things off till 2022? What do you think? Yes, Chris, that is probably right. Knowing I look, I'll get into London, first time marathon lucky, and it'll be cancelled. Don't say that. Positive. We're all about positiveness. So no, if you get in, Chris, you're going to run it. Simple as that. Let's all stay positive. But yeah, we've got all this hype moving forward, but it could still, we're not 100% sure. There's still a chance that all of these things will collapse and we move on and move back another year. Fingers crossed we don't, because I'm really looking forward to it. And to me, that's one thing I've been missing. It's been great going out and doing the virtual runs. It's great to keep you going, great to keep you motivated. Nice T-shirts, nice bits of bling. It does keep you motivated. It is good. But I'm actually missing the being caged in the pen, ready to go. Being in like the Great North Run, 50,000 people, all happy, pumped up, ready to go. That adrenaline, that excitement, I'm actually missing that. And you also get, when you see that person in front of you and you think, I'm going to run them down and get past them, I'm missing that as well. The competitive edge. So going out and running a virtual marathon as fast as you can, or a virtual 10K as fast as you can, you're not pushing yourself the same. You are pushing yourself, don't get me wrong, you are pushing yourself, but you're losing that extra 1% because you haven't got that competitiveness. And that's what I'm really, really missing. So fingers crossed we can get back to all these, to the races we know and love by the end of the year. I think they'll be totally different to how they've been set up before. They're going to have to be more COVID secure. I can't see how you can, especially with London, they're talking about having 50,000 people there this year. I can't see how you can do the start of the London Marathon with 50,000 people in one space, all crammed in 8 or 9 pens. I can't see that happening. Is it going to be a case of we're going to have the staggered start times for the London Marathon from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon? No, every hour there's a wave start. The logistics is mind-blowing. But I hope we get back to it. I really do hope we get back to it. What do you think? I'd love to know below. Right, how are we doing on time? What time are we on? 24 minutes. I'm doing well today. So just a couple of other things that I've made notes of and just my thoughts for you today before we wrap this up. I've been watching a lot of reviews, obviously, as you can tell, because I've been sat at home. Because I've been sat at home, there's nothing else to do apart from watch Netflix and go on YouTube. So I'm been watching a lot of people on YouTube, the likes of Chris, who's with us tonight, the likes of the other Chris who does Here We Go Running, Kafosi, Ed Budd with his Earth Credit shoe reviews, brilliant. Ben Parks, who else we've been on? Fod Runner, absolutely loads of different sites, watching different videos, and been watching a lot of reviews of the newer shoes. And one thing I've noticed is, and I don't think it's just one manufacturer, I think it's various manufacturers, that shoe weights are starting to creep up, even on the main running shoes. the new iterations seem to be heavier than the previous models. The Hoka One. Why is it One? Why is it not 1-1? Anyway, Hoka One Carbon X2 is heavier than the original variant. The Pegasus 37 is heavier than the 36. The new Reebok Float Ride Energy 3 is heavier than the 2. All the shoes seem to be getting heavier. Why is this? Do we know why this is? Is it just the manufacturers using different materials and they're just naturally getting heavier? Or are they leading us away from the light marathon shoes? I don't know. It's just something I've noticed, something we're going to have a look into. In fact, that's probably one of the things I'll email Ed Budd and ask him about, because he'll go off on one on that and he'll really love it. But yeah, the shoes seem to be getting heavier, and I don't know why. Speaking of shoes, and I've noticed this, Ben Parks was on about it with his Alpha Flies in a video a couple of days ago, how he's had either 2 or 3 pairs where the AirPods have popped and he's had to have them replaced. And also I was watching Seth Demore from the States a couple of days ago, and he was on about his Nike Infinity React 2s that he's got, and how he's only had them 2 weeks and he's pulled the tongue up to tie the shoelaces and he's ripped the tongue out. And he's not the only person to do that. There's also loads of stuff on Instagram and what have you, where people have tied up these shoes, pulled up the lace, and they've just ripped it out. Is there a quality control problem coming through from Nike, whichever way you want to put it? Because there's a problem with this tongue in these Reacts. AirPods exploding or going down in the Alpha Flies. The Pegasus 37, the stitching work on that was pretty shoddy as well. So have we got shoe quality going downhill when we're paying 140, 150, 250 pounds for a pair of shoes? The build quality isn't where it should be. So again, I think that's something we need to be aware of when we're buying these shoes. You need to be seriously looking at the reviews, seeing the people who've been using these shoes and see where they are, because I would hate to buy a pair of shoes for 140, 150 pound and then have the tongues rip out as I'm pulling them on. That's a no-no. So it's something to be aware of, and something I've noticed that's been happening. Weight of shoes, quality of shoes are getting heavier. And finally, the last thing I've done today is I did it yesterday. I bought a running journal. So once I get the all clear to start running again, I am reverting to recording all my runs on a piece of paper in a book, using a pen, writing them down on a piece of paper. Mo Farah still does this, and I think it's a great idea just for tracking what you've done and for you to look back in a year's time to see where you were. I know we use Strava, we use Runkeeper, everything's recorded on there, we use Garmin Connect. Brilliant. That's giving us all the stats there, but it doesn't tell you how you felt about the run. What were your thoughts on that run? We put it on Strava and then we just put a witty comment on there, don't we? It was raining. But it doesn't say how you felt about that run. But when you've got the pen and paper, you're putting all the stats down, distances, speeds, blah, blah, blah. But you also put, I really enjoyed that run today, felt really good, my legs felt strong, blah, blah. Or I was feeling heavy that day. I think I ate too soon to that run because I can feel my pasta jumping up and down inside my stomach. We don't put that type of thing on the Stravas, do we? So I'm going back to pen and paper so I can go back in a year's time and look, yeah, I did that run. I was feeling okay that day. Bit of a niggle in my left leg, bit of a niggle in my right knee, that type of thing, which I think is a lot better and a lot better for us to look at our performance, to look back and see how we've done, than just going back to Strava. Because I'll ask you now, when was the last time you strolled back on your Strava to see what your runs were like 12 months ago? You won't have done it. You won't even have looked at what you were doing last month. You just look at those totals going up and up and up, following your running goals. I'm aiming for that 1,000 miles a year. I'm aiming for that 40 miles a week. You're looking at that, but you're not going back and revisiting to see how you're doing and seeing how you've improved. So that's why I've gone for the running journal. So we'll let you know about that as we get back into the running. So that's it. That's it for today. That's just some of my thoughts. What I've noticed around the world, a bit of feedback on what that English athletics was workshop was like. I'll let you know about next week, so to speak. But before we go, Excuse me, I've got a cough again. Get a dry throat when you just talk and talk and talk. So finally, last minute or two, have you got any questions for me? Simple as that. Any question? Chris, thank you very much indeed. Really do appreciate that. If you can tell 10,000 of your friends about it, I would much appreciate that as well. So thank you for that, Chris. Any questions? Any questions at all? Ow. Sometimes if I move too quick, I get a click and that sends me off on one for a couple of minutes. The other thing is that I've started cutting down on the pain medication. I'm leaving the co-codamol in the cupboard now, and it's just a case of taking paracetamol during the day if I need to. And if I need to take one at bedtime, I'll take some ibuprofen, because the ibuprofen, as we know, is an anti-inflammatory. And if you go down to my elbow, there's still there's a big bruise across the bottom and there's a big bruise on the top, which is stopping my mobility from my shoulder, from my elbow. So I am taking ibuprofen at night to try and help ease that, as well as the turmeric capsules in the morning, which I do recommend. A bit of turmeric to help with any problems that you might have. Right, that said, just checking. No questions? Brilliant. We'll give you the opportunity of a week then to think of some more questions you might want to ask. As I said, pay attention to what's happening with the shoes. They're getting heavier and the build quality is going down. So let me know about that. Kim, thank you very much indeed for watching from Denmark. As I say, beautiful place. Been there about 8 times. Thoroughly love it. Not just Copenhagen. I have travelled around the country as well. And also, I have been to a football match at Brøndby in just outside Copenhagen. So I've been to a Brøndby football match. That was brilliant. Everybody was looking at me because my friend who's Danish was talking to me in English, and English person. But at the moment, there was a foul committed on a Brøndby player, and I stood up and shouted that I didn't think the referee had really good eyesight or something to that thing. And all these people who were stood around me, yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah. So I was instantly taking him because I was cheering for Brøndby. So yeah, little things like that, little memories. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Dave, for watching. I will see you very soon. I'm surprised you've got no questions, because you're always thinking of questions. Michael, thank you very much indeed for your feedback as well. I really do appreciate it. Again, if you can tell your friends, we'll get more people. If we can get some more people to watch these lives, it will get better. We'll get more questions. We'll get more interactions. And it'll be a bit more interactive is what I'm trying to do. So not just me talking for half an hour, an hour. I want to get a little bit more interactive. I want to be looking at the questions, giving my take on your questions, and also throwing it open to everybody else. So that's the plan moving forward. So thank you. Really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me that you've spent half an hour with me tonight. So thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy your running, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much indeed for watching. See you all again soon. Ta-ra.